Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite dark sorcerer here, and jealous son of Abaddon. And tonight I'd like to discuss with you divination tools. Okay, basically tools of the sorcerer or sorceress. In any given system, there are specific tools that are utilized. Hey, salute. What's going on, man? There are tools that are utilized for clarity, insight, feelings, instinctual, intuitiveness type tools. And today I'm going to discuss and break them down for you. The first up is cartomancy. Cartomancy is what modern day practitioners refer to today as tarot card readings. You see, in this case, you're dealing with the past, present, and future. All right. When you get more adept in it, you'll notice that it doesn't matter how many cards that you utilize. You're going to be paying more attention to your instincts. You're going to be dealing with intuitiveness from light and shadow positions to things such as the card meanings, dealing with, say, for an example, planetary symbols such as Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Venus, Sun, the Moon. Okay. These are only a small aspect. In some cases, there are numerology, depending on the deck that you're using. Now, a lot of people tend to deal with certain positions that are in a book. Okay. We all know that divination tools such as cartomancy decks come with a book, their own unique book. This I happen to agree with Frank White, otherwise known as Aurelius Sopax. Okay. Here, his way of thinking is toss out the book. I concur with that. And this is why. If you're following a book, you're not going to rely on your own instincts. You're not going to rely on your own intuition. Okay, you're not going to learn beyond what that book has to offer. There's so much that gravitates just around a tarot card reading. Now, it doesn't matter the positions of the cards. You can do a 3-card read, you can do a 10, you can do the pyramid, you can do, say, for an example, the Tower cards, the Celtic Cross reading, the prophecy reading. Okay, starting with the month that we're currently in and then going ahead 6 months. Okay. There's so many different positions that you can place the cards. It does not matter the position. Okay. It does not matter how you lay them down as long as you start with the first and end with the last. The next up is runes. Runes are known worldwide, especially in ancient times. In ancient folklore and mysticism, runes have been utilized in various different forms. You probably heard of bone casting. Bones are one of the oldest known traditions of runes. Outside of drawing the runes in blood or on cave paintings, perhaps even rocks, um, in 17th, 18th centuries, they utilized rock walls. Certain types of runes were used for protection, others were meant for healing. Some were to keep the supernatural at bay, whereas it allows humans or the mundane to come forth. Others, depending on the setup, can actually keep anyone dealing who has the willingness to do you harm at a distance. They can't pass by. However, in rune readings, it's a whole lot different, even though these are just some of the things that runes can be utilized for. It's much like, say, for an example, hieroglyphs in Egyptian mythology. Certain things could be utilized and hidden within a wall of, say, animals. A serpent can be turned either left or right depending on the cipher, the code to open doors, or perhaps to understand a lock, a key, kind of like utilizing the first letter of every third word in a cipher. Same exact thing. Now, in a rune reading, you start with the furthest and you work towards yourself. Okay? It doesn't matter where the runes lie. The ones that are face up is what you want to read. You start with the furthest one and you end with that one closest to you. Each rune has a certain aspect to it, much like cartomancy. If, depending on what it is, like say the sun, okay? The sun is a representation of positivity, gain, life force, even, okay? Whereas the spears would symbolize warfare, perhaps conflict. And then you have, say, for an example, the waves, okay, or flock of birds, depending on the deck, the type of runes that you have. If you have the witch's runes, it would be the flock of birds, okay? The flock of birds is much like that of Lucifer, the air of enlightenment, can deal with a lot of things. But you have to understand each rune and you have to understand the symbolatry behind it. Another variation of tools that are utilized is what is known as a scrying mirror. Back in the 13th century, a manuscript was put forth. Between the 12th and the 13th and 14th centuries, it was known as the Munich manuscripts. Hey, Lolan, welcome to the video. The Munich manuscript speaks of the scrying mirror. It's actually one of the first known documentations of the scrying mirror. And in this case, it's referring to the mirror of Lilith. Okay? It is a scrying mirror. It deals with the dimensions. Okay? Later, around the 15th century, this scroll was actually published as a book, and it was renamed as the Munich Manual for the 15th century necromancer. Okay, and this is by Richard de Keffer. Now, I most likely just butchered the guy's name, but it's there. Okay. Later on in grimoires, the mirror or the scrying mirror was actually formulated. It wasn't until later on that around the time of, say, let's go with the three books of occult philosophy for a prime example. The alchemical formulation describes how to create one of these through utilizing the elements, utilizing the metals. Okay. Today we have round and square ones, but back in the day they actually had these huge mirrors, these big glass ones, not just crystal balls. Okay, crystal balls such as the black onyx, okay, was another form of gazing into the nexus, the spiritual domain. Much like the mirror of Lilith, the crystal ball draws you in. Have you ever noticed that certain crystals can grab your attention and hold it for a certain amount of time? Perhaps you're looking beyond it or through it, but other times you get caught on that one little crack, that one little section that just catches your gaze and you can't help but sit there and gaze into it. When utilizing a crystal ball, you're peering into the nexus, the very domains of celestial, spiritual, or even shadow planes of existence. Depending on what kind of practitioner you are, will determine who you're summoning and what you're summoning. Now, if you take necromancers for an example, necromancers tend to align themselves with death at any given time. Necromancers tend to live with one foot in the grave and one in the physical, much like the shaman of over 1,000 years ago. When we go further into this, we also have dowsing, we have conjurations and rejuvenations. Now, on Facebook, I ended up posting a couple of things that I had come across in Sorceress Cagliostro's books, one of her books, the Blood Sorcery book, Volume 2. Now, I found it interesting because of the fact that as a necromancer myself, dealing in chiromancy and necromancy, there's a lot of things that you can do through blood sorcery, through utilizing the tools of divination. Okay. Divination is one of the major four components of any given sorcery, be it witchcraft, be it voodoo, be it hoodooism, quimbanda, umbanda, Norse mythology, say Viking, okay, Celtic, Gaelic, Druid. It doesn't matter, even Slavic. All these tools apply. Now, here's the thing. When doing spiritual conjurations, takes place in state of geometry, okay? Dealing with the circle of empowerment to summon forth through the triangle of evocation. This is where the Solomantic practices comes in, from the Grand Grimoire, Red Dragon, to the Keys of Solomon, even down to the grimoire of Pope Honorius. Okay, symbology, symbols, glyphs, hieroglyphs, even. Okay, are found within the Black Pellet. Okay, even the Necromite icon by Simon, the first seal of Inanna. Okay, Inanna's first seal is one of many doorways. A doorway, okay, is a door that leads between one realm and another. If we go into mythology, if we go into historical accounts, mythology even, take Homer's Odyssey for an example. Okay, if we go into Greek mythology or Norse mythology, there's always some form of hero like Odysseus who goes into certain trials. We have devil traps worldwide, 15 of them to be precise, where things tend to go missing, things tend to happen, ships tend to just vanish, like in the Bermuda Triangle. Go into South America, you see another gateway on rock slabs where these doorways are activated. All right. Now, here's the kicker. Now, through mythology and history, people have believed that if you go into a volcano, like at the base of a volcano, it'll lead you into Tartarus. Perhaps even delving into the deepest portion of a lake, there's a portal that will lead you down into the underworld to commune with the dead. Okay? These stories and myths are nothing new throughout mythology, history even in divination. Now, what did I just describe here? Okay? Now think back. Divination, okay? Spell casting, necromancy, divination, and most importantly, conjurations of witchcraft practices. The four main substances that make up witchcraft in general. Divination of any kind is a doorway. It's a portal that allows you to tap into these energy currents. It allows you to go into the spiritual realm. When you're doing a conjuration or a summoning of invocation, for an example, while doing cartomancy, you're in fact opening your tarot card deck in yourself up for a demon, perhaps even an angel, a djinn, the loa, the ugan to work through you. You're basically placing yourself into what is known as a state of conduit. Okay? You are becoming the conduit so that they can work through you as you're shuffling. They get to speak through you to the cards so that you can interpret the reading to your clients or even to yourself if you're good at what you do. Okay? Now, sometimes you'll have to do this numerous times to get a clear reading, to see the pattern. Certain cards keep coming up, certain positions, certain ways. Okay, jot them down because there's a message and a purpose, a meaning behind it that you've got to uncover. When you're dealing with a crystal ball, a black mirror, such as the mirror of Lilith, okay, dealing with a doorway, such as the Black Gate, okay, you go into Donald's My Icon, you go into Simon's, you go into the old worlds, and you're going to see the same portal, either in an oval shape or in a square, but you're going to see it. You're going to see that all seeing eye. You're going to see these runes coming up, and you're going to have to decipher. You're going to have to decipher them. You're going to have to understand how to go into this to the land of the gods, the city of the gods, even to go into the spiritual. You see, tools such as these are utilized within any given system. Even if you want to follow the JCI, what is an altar but a massive pillar of power? It is a tool that when you walk into that sanctuary, that inner sanctum, you are in fact leaving the outside world behind to commune with the gods. Doesn't matter if it's the Loa. It doesn't matter if it's demons. The Ugan, nature-based gods such as Pan, Anubis, Ra, say Phrygia, Circe, Isis. It doesn't matter. They're there. Okay? You can learn how to tap into these, but it begins with you. As I said with cartomancy, get rid of the book. Once you have the understanding of what each card represents in the deck, get rid of the book and begin practicing for yourself. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's runes. It doesn't matter if it's a scrying mirror. It doesn't matter if it's a deck of cards that goes all the way back to the 11th century. Cartomancy is there. Divination is there. It is something that has been utilized, much like a scrying bowl. Okay? Scrying bowls have been used for centuries by witches, by warlocks, by sorcerers and sorceresses as a means to commune. Even if you want to get down into what is now known as a Ouija board is just another portal. It is just another tool that allows you to commune. It's also one of the more harder and more frustrating things to utilize because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get an answer. Hell, maybe once out of 30, 40 even, you may get an answer. And it is frustrating because you're trying to contact spirit using dowsing rods, a photo, using a lock of hair, maybe the old necromantic way of wearing, say, for an example, the clothing of the dead relative, or perhaps the spirit themselves, utilizing the skull as a means to commune with the dead, spilling blood on, say, for an example, the rod of iron. Okay? There are many tools from clay tablets known as placencies. Okay? Now, what is a placency? Okay, I call them placencies because the actual term for it is something that I have a hard time pronouncing, so I've had to utilize a term that helps me remember what they are. They can be anything from stones to clay to even wooden tablets with runes on them. Okay, these are things that are utilized within necromancy to place all your energy into, your very soul, your blood, your ka. Now, a question was asked, what is a ka? A ka is your soul. It is the energy put forth by your soul. What can these dowsing rods or these rods of iron, brass even, or even these little magnets do? Okay, as Sorceress Cagliostro so colorfully names them. Well, these are just tools to help you align yourself with the poles, say north, east, west, south, but also can guide you through polarities of the disincarnate, meaning the dead or recent dead. Chiromancy is a form of conjuration. It is a tactic that is utilized by sorcerers and sorceresses to call forth a spirit through invocation or evocation tactics. Look at the Grand Grimoire, the Grand Grimoire Red Dragon. Look at the planetary and numerology, numerological type times of the year, okay, through, say, the clavicle of Solomon, okay, that can be used under certain planetary figures, okay, certain days of the year. Now, a lot of pagan and Wiccan holidays, a lot of their rituals befall, say, the 21st or 22nd of each of the month, where these solstices and equinoxes take place. Now, why is that? Well, number one, every other year is considered a leap year. Okay. So understanding this in the ways that the Chaldeans understood, okay, along with astrology, utilizing these tools of sorcery at certain times, like, say, Samhain, when the veil between realms is very thin, a spirit can be called forth, even a demon, an angel, perhaps a relative. These things are there. You can go into, say, for an example, the Red Book of Appin, okay, where it describes certain elements that can, or certain ingredients that can be brought forth and utilized to summon demons and align yourself with the underworld. If you go into the Sitra Ra, for an example, consecration of sacred or hollow ground, for an example, certain things such as blood sorcery, utilizing bones of animals, the blood of animals, even human bones, such as crushed bones, can be utilized to make it dead ground. It is a ritual that is put forth once, just once, where nothing grows above or below. It is a place to store your magical tools, supplies, grimoires, black books. A black book is a great way to record your practice, your experiments, what you felt, much like a journal, a magical journal. When you go into a ritual to utilize any one of these tools, utilize a dream journal. Write everything you do down, what you felt, what you witnessed. As much detail as you can, as quickly as you can, as after exiting that inner sanctum. Now, why would you do this? By doing this, you literally are able to seek out a pattern. You can seek out what works and what doesn't. And if it doesn't work, figure out what does. Add on to what you're doing. Perhaps if you're doing a conjuration type ritual where you are summoning a being, they're trying to guide you, teach you through visions, images, perhaps smells. Maybe they'll take you from one place to another. Astral travel, even. Utilizing a black scrying mirror, you're able to go into the realm of the dead. Going into the astral realms, you can commune with any being, such as demons, angels, to jinn. Calling forth spirits is different. A state of possession, for an example, which is the fourth major notification of what witchcraft is. You don't believe me? Look it up. In fact, I encourage it. Look it up for yourselves. Possession takes place within Voodoo. Haitian Voodoo, for an example, the Boko, or even practitioners on the white light side petition the Loa to inhabit their bodies. They call forth, they're willing. They open up their arms and welcome them as brothers and sisters. Right there, you just opened a portal. You just opened yourself up as a tool to be used. Those who have witnessed these applications, no, it's not for fun and games. It's no joke. From eating glass to drinking and laying on a sarcophagus, a coffin, even, to imitating that Loa, to summoning a demon to do things for you, but also to commune and learn from that being. It goes both ways, but you have to have that respect for what you're doing. You have to have the proper offering You have to have your petition ready. You have to be willing to accept whatever happens or whatever the outcome is. Remember that between two things, one, there's what you want and what they want, and they don't always align. Even I can tell you that firsthand. I hope this has been intellectual. I hope it's been enlightening. And until next time, have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.